It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
We're going to highlight a potential tax increase, a local tax increase. Joining us now, I have a former candidate for Justice of the Peace for Benton County. His name is Joseph Bollinger. Joseph, welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, Paul. Good morning. Thanks for having me on. It's a real pleasure to be able to talk to you this morning.
Yeah, thank you for wanting to be on and wanting to kind of educate the rest of the state. You know, when we fight tax increases or we fight big government or whatever, you know, you have examples of microcosms. So what goes on in Little Rock in many ways is a microcosm of what goes on in Washington, D.C. Likewise, what goes on in Benton County or Craighead County or anywhere, oftentimes it's a microcosm of what's going on in Little Rock. So what can you tell us about, is there a special election coming up or what's going on with the potential tax increase?
Absolutely. And you're 100% correct. This is exactly a microcosm of what you see even in Washington, D.C. It's just crazy politics. And it's just to the point where, you know, we're having a special election to increase our taxes, practically in the dark of night, to where it's the week before spring break, to have something that, you know, honestly should have been on the general ballot. Actually, the third reading could have happened all the way back in May of 2018, because they had the second reading in April of 2018, and they purposely postponed it off the general election so they could have it in March.
So did you say this is a sales tax increase proposal? Is that what this is?
That is correct. Yes, a sales tax proposal to build a $35 million courthouse.
To build a $35 million courthouse. So does Benton County, do they not have a courthouse now?
They do have a courthouse. It's nearly 100 years old. So I will give them that. They do have an older courthouse, and they have other court facilities spread out throughout Bentonville. So while I do understand there is a legitimate need for a new courthouse, I'm not a fan of the tax. I'm not a fan for the method they're using to try to get this tax through, via the special election. And I'm not a fan of the high expenditure of this court building. As a matter of fact, the Libertarian Party of Benton County, they proposed a plan for $15 million that would have actually satisfied all of the current needs for the county and for roughly half the cost. And that would have been built downtown. Now, if they would have had it built over by the jail, it could have been built for even less than that.
So is the court, I'm assuming that the current 100-year-old courthouse is already downtown. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Yes, they actually, originally they were talking about building over by the jail, which obviously would be the logical sense. That way you don't have to transfer inmates to downtown. But there's actually been Walton money basically incentivizing to build a downtown. Essentially, they had a carrot on a stick saying, if you build a downtown, we'll give you $3 million to put towards this project. And unless they're going to build a downtown, they're not going to give that money. So the Walton's Foundation actually said, you have to use our designer, and you have to have it downtown. It has to meet all these requirements. And it's pretty crazy to think about that, because here you are, granted, obviously they're putting a lot of money towards this, which, I'm extremely thankful for, just due to the nature of that, because it could save taxpayers money. But at the same time, you have someone who's paying essentially 10% of the building and stipulating all the parameters for this building, where it's going to go, how it's going to look, et cetera, et cetera.
Are they saying that this sales tax increase, if it were to pass, is it temporary?
It is temporary, yes. It would be 4.5 years.
Okay. And so you're saying now, are you a libertarian, Joseph?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you're saying that the libertarians, that they presented a plan that would require no tax increase. Is that correct?
That is correct. Right now, the county has $15 million in reserves. Now, they could have done this by spending part of the reserves, say half those reserves, and then basically having the rest of it paid for just through budgetary maneuvering. They didn't even consider our plans. We presented it to them. They didn't really consider it. They didn't look at it really the day that we presented it to them.
Okay, so let's talk about the special election itself, because regardless of where anybody were to fall on this particular issue, they're holding the election a week before spring break. Is that right?
That is correct. in the cold of March, where obviously there's a high probability of, moderate probability of snow or ice or whatever kind of bad weather. Obviously people are sick, from the flu. It's just not a good time to have a special election.
I mean, they've got to know the statistics. I mean, statistically speaking, whether you have the special election, the Tuesday after 4th of July weekend, or the Tuesday before 4th of July, or the week before spring break, whatever the case may be, statistically speaking, if you have a special election for a tax increase, they have a much greater chance of getting it passed. I want to say it's 60 to 70%. Are their chances for getting it passed. The Arkansas Center for Research and Economics actually has some research on this. If they were to wait and hold it during a primary election or a general election, their chances of increasing the tax burden on the people go way down compared to the special election. So this is another example, and I hope somebody in Little Rock tries to run Dave Wallace's bill again. That would, Senator Dave Wallace, we had him on the program yesterday, that would end special elections only in the case of emergencies, like tornado comes and destroys the courthouse. Okay. But these special elections are ways to actually thwart the will of the people and take their money, when they're on vacation or they're planning a vacation.
Absolutely. And they actually, because we attend all the quorum court meetings. As a matter of fact, just I'll just throw this out there, they don't record any of these quorum court meetings. They do over Washington County, but they don't actually over Benton County. And we've asked them, many times, hey, you guys should probably record this, make it live, however you want to do it, so people can, be informed. So what we do, we just Facebook Live it and put it on our Facebook page. So they actually had experts come in and say, hey, you guys need to have this in a special election. You don't want to have this on the general election, because if you do, it's probably going to fail. Mm-hmm. So they actually, they purposely, it's not, they say, oh, we want to be able to educate the populace. The population is not stupid. The people who are voting are not stupid. And honestly, that's insulting to the voters to say that, there's too much on the ballot that you have to be able to pay attention to this. Because honestly, if something is a great idea, like they're saying it is, then people don't have to be tricked. They don't have to be coerced to vote for this. They can do it if it's the right thing to do, which honestly I think any discerning voter can look at this and say, this is sneaky and this is wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll vote against it.
Are you aware, Joseph, that special election reform almost became the law of the land 2 years ago? Are you aware of that?
We were one vote away from it.
Yeah.
I think we were like one vote away from it.
Okay,
yeah.
so you are aware.
A phone call at the time.
Yeah. State representative, now Senator James Sturge, after voting for it, got up from his seat so he would kill the bill, and he got some sort of text message or something, and
pretty important text message.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I just thought I needed to remind people of that, because honestly, Benton County wouldn't be doing it wouldn't be attempting to do what it's doing if it wasn't, if we had already done this 2 years ago. This is something this is a common sense thing, especially when you understand that these local governments are intentionally holding special elections so they have a greater chance of getting what they want. And what they're really doing is immoral. It is immoral to make those decisions, because if we are going to run ourselves or operate as a government or a society by allowing people to have a democratic say, and you are strategically placing your elections where you're going to get less of a snapshot of the opinion of the people that have to live under this new proposal, tax increase, law, whatever, that is fundamentally wrong, in my opinion.
It is.
And it goes.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, you please go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just saying I absolutely agree. This just by the dark kind of way of doing things, it's just not wrong. It completely goes against our system of government.
Yeah,
it's absolutely wrong.
So if people want, you say that you're trying to get some transparency with the Benton County Quorum Court. So if people want to watch what the Quorum Court does live, you said you guys are streaming it on your Facebook Live. So what Facebook page is that?
We actually kind of just depends on which Facebook page we want to put it on and who's also recording it, because I may not be the one that's always able to make it, or maybe somebody else is making it to that. So a lot of times I put it on. I have a news site called the Feed that I'm an editor on. The Feed in Northern Arkansas. I put it on there sometimes. Sometimes we put it on the Benton County Libertarian page. That's somebody else is recording that. So it's kind of mixed. Once again, it's not exactly, it's not a single entity doing this. It's it's individual people. So it's kind of hard to coordinate something like that. And not everyone has equal access to the same pages as everyone else.
Yeah.
So we definitely try to do it, but like I said, it's just a political party that does it. So it's very difficult to have it organized to that level to where it's on a single page every single time.
Joseph, real quick, you think you're against this tax increase, right? You think the people of Benton County should vote it down, right?
Absolutely. I definitely think they should vote this down on March 12th. And we already have some of the highest taxes in the country. It's the fourth highest sales tax in the country. We're tied with Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
So it also goes completely against the Republican Party platform. I mean, having a special election and increasing taxes, that's definitely not how Republicans are, voting to be. And that's completely against how they proclaim to be.
All right. Joseph, very well said. Joseph Bollinger, everybody. He's a former candidate for Benton County, JP. We really appreciate you coming on the program and informing us about what's going on.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
All righty. Folks, again, that was Joseph Bollinger. Man,